The security has been tightened further in West Bengal. Remember, after escalation, additional central troops have been rushed to West Bengal. This decision comes after recent attacks on the NIA as well as the ED teams. Now, Election Commission has sent additional troops to the state of Bengal. The Election Commission has deployed additional central troops and moved 100 additional companies to West Bengal. So more central forces are now being deployed, and this is with respect to the violence against the central agencies. Remember, this has been happening for over some time now. The Election Commission of India has moved its forces to West Bengal. My colleague Nikunj Garg gets us more details.
What does 100 company mean? Each company would have a strength, at least the sanctioned or the authorized strength of 100 men. So that would mean 10,000 extra central paramilitary troopers. Even if we count the functional strength of a company to be 75 men, then it would mean 7,500 extra men on patrol in the state of Bengal, in addition to 177 companies that were already deployed, which would take the total figure of central paramilitary troops in the state of West Bengal for the peaceful passage of general elections 2024 to 277. In addition to this, there would be a deployment from the state police force also, because the state police force will certainly be playing an adjunct role to the central paramilitary troops. So this is fairly massive deployment, a kind of unprecedented or unrivaled security grid that you would not see anywhere else in the country. Having said that, one has to also say that the levels of violence in the West Bengal polls, any kind of polls there, historically have been unacceptable in a democracy. And I reiterate that those levels of violence are completely unacceptable. I remember those days when Ms. Mamata Banerjee was in the opposition and left parties were ruling, and Mr. P. Chidambaram was the Home Minister of the country. And even that point of time, Ms. Mamata Banerjee used to accuse Centre of adopting a lackadaisical approach in ensuring a free and fair passage of polls by not adequately providing the Central Armed Police Forces. Now, of course, the Central Armed Police Forces have grown in numbers phenomenally in the last 1 decade or so, actually in the last 15 years or so. So the Centre and the Election Commission of India do have that additional elbow room available to them, through which they can provide additional central paramilitary components whenever required or whenever desired by the constitutional bodies like the Election Commission of India. So neutral observers would certainly see this as an exercise in keeping tempers calm, as an exercise in ensuring that there is free and fair polls. We have already seen a slew of attacks on the teams of central agencies like the National Investigating Agency or the Enforcement Directorate. Whether there was a provocation from the side of the law enforcement agency, that is a question that is still hanging in the public domain, and that will be answered in due course of time, as is alleged by the TMC. But quite clearly it reflects that the tempers are frayed, tempers are running high, and situation is indeed volatile. So in such a situation, additional deployment of central paramilitary troops would be seen as one way by the Election Commission of India, which is the constitutionally mandated body in this country to ensure free and fair passage of polls, and certainly would not be taken kindly to by the ruling dispensation, because the ruling dispensation in the state would say that this is some kind of an attempt to gag the state apparatus, to limit the functionality of the state apparatus, and bring into focus something that is certainly not favorable to them, that is law and order situation in the state of West Bengal. So, and that sort of says that when tempers are frayed, allegations do fly thick and fast. Trinamool has often in the past alleged that central forces are pushing voters to vote for the BJP, and on the other side, the BJP equally forcefully maintains that the state police forces are completely adjunct to the state political masters and have been favoring only the ruling dispensation, be it the left earlier or now the Trinamool Congress. So it's a keenly contested election, and that is why this is a significant and dramatic development that we are reporting at this hour for our viewers.
All right, Saurabh Gupta joins us to get us more details. Saurabh, now more central forces are now being deployed. Can we say this is a direct fallout of what has transpired over the past couple of days, especially with respect to the violence against central agencies?
Well, there has obviously been multiple factors that have contributed to this decision, and one cannot be sure which one is, of course, the primary reason. But it can fairly be summarized that obviously there has been, a couple of attacks on central agencies. One, the ED faced in Sandesh Khali on the 5th of January, and then, of course, on the 6th of April on the NIA in Bhupati Nagar. That would be one of the contributing factors for sure. But there are other reasons as well. For example, the Election Commission is looking at past history. And obviously, there is history of violence in West Bengal elections, and that is something that perhaps the Election Commission would have taken note of. Also, what we've seen in the past few days are several requests for more central forces, especially from the BJP. Yesterday, also, we saw Shubhendu Adhikari, the leader of opposition and, one of the most prominent BJP leaders in the state, visiting the special police observer who reports to the Election Commission and demanding that central forces not only are deployed in West Bengal during the elections, but also after the elections to ensure there is no post-poll violence like the type the BJP had alleged in 2021 after the assembly elections, where it claimed that many of its workers were attacked and, faced violence after the election victory of the Trinamool Congress. So that is one factor. There is also other intelligence reports that the Election Commission would have got, also reports that it held. Also, there were representations made by political parties. But the interesting thing to note is that some of these forces now that are being deployed, the extra forces, 100 companies or so, as Nikunj was explaining, also seem to have been transferred from Manipur. They were deployed in Manipur and now they're being moved to Bengal. And that is, of course, something to note as far as the deployment of central forces in West Bengal is concerned. 100 extra companies of CRPF and BSF, apart from already what was deployed, which is 177 companies of CRPF, BSF and other central CAPF like the CISF and the ITBP and the SSB, all of those, and including the railway police. So all of those men would be involved in area domination exercises in West Bengal ahead of the general parliamentary elections 2024, like the Election Commission says.
Saurabh, could you also give our viewers a sense of what are the key areas where these deployments will happen?
Well, all over the state, actually, because obviously there would be areas in sensitive areas in several districts where these forces are likely to be deployed. But you will again see, there will be representations. For example, every time there is, an incident somewhere, there would be representations made to the Election Commission. And these are dynamic situations. The deployment, of course, would be in district headquarters initially, and from there they would move to other places. But again, exactly where they would be deployed is something that would evolve in a dynamic situation depending on the need for these security forces and the requisition that's sent out. So those details, exact deployment would be difficult to predict at this point, though there are central agency forces that are already doing area domination exercises, flag marches in several areas and several parts of the state, including several districts as well.